What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So I've been ranking every single team's prospect pools on my Instagram the last couple days, going 32 all the way down to 1, and we are now into the top 10. So I thought I'd make a full YouTube video on it. And just full disclosure, this is razor thin. There is not a clear top 3, top 5 like there was maybe last offseason when you had guys like Carlson, Bedard, Fantilli still count as prospects. It is razor close. You can make an argument that like number 9 on this list could be goddamn number 1, and I would honestly hear you out. So without further ado, at number 10, I have the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg Jets, obviously led by Brad Lambert and Rucker McGroarty. Rucker McGroarty is leading the entire NCAAs in points per game right now. He had a fantastic World Juniors. He's looking like a future fantastic power forward. Brad Lambert's on pace for around 0.8 points per game in the AHL. He's playing fantastic. Colby Barlow, their first round pick last year, hasn't really taken that next step in the OHL. He's still goal scoring at an extremely high rate. I was a little bit lower on him than most, so not my favorite prospect. Chaz Lucius. Overall, it's just a very solid prospect pool. Not a ton of depth, but those two guys in Rucker McGroarty and Brad Lambert are both top 20 prospects in the NHL for me, so they get the spot at number 10. Number 9, Montreal Canadiens. Might seem a little bit low. I obviously love Lane Hudson and David Reinbacher. The second best 1-2 punch in terms of defenseman prospects in the entire NHL, arguably the first. Honestly, probably is the first. There's another one on this list that we'll get to, but might have the best 1-2 punch in terms of defensemen. It's just the forwards that kind of disappoint me in terms of it. It's not horrible, but looking at it, Philip Machar, solid prospect, nothing special. Owen Beck, okay. Who am I blanking on? Joshua Waugh, playing very good at the AHL, but they just don't really wow me in terms of forward talent. In net, Jacob Fowler has been very good at Boston College, but still a very good prospect pool. You could make an argument for them to be higher for sure, but it definitely needs to get replenished this year in the draft. Number 8, the Seattle Kraken. This might be a little bit bold. I really like the Seattle Kraken's prospect pool. Shane Wright obviously leads it. He is a top 10 prospect still, in my opinion. Then you guys got guys like Carson Raykampf, who has really exploded this year in the OHL after being a second-round pick. Edward Schales also playing very good in the OHL. Yanni Niemann over in Finland is having a fantastic season in Liga. Caden Price, still a good defenseman prospect they picked up last year. Dragicevic not having that good of a year in the WHL, if I'm being honest. Jagger Furcus has been fantastic in the WHL. I think he's top 3 in the entire league in points per game. So they have that one guy in Shane Wright, and they have a bunch of overall depth to their prospect pool. So I think it is a pretty solid group. Number 7, Columbus Blue Jackets. Columbus Blue Jackets obviously took a hit compared to last offseason. I think they probably had the best prospect pool in the entire NHL. But when you take away Adam Fantilli and David Jiricek, they have all played over like 30 NHL games at this point. They're obviously not prospects anymore. It's definitely going to take a hit. You look at it, Gavin Brindley playing very good at the University of Michigan right now. 15 goals, 10 assists, 25 points in 20 games. Denton Mateychuk, I still think is probably a top 6 or 7 defenseman prospect in all of hockey. He's playing very good in the WHL. Jordan Dumais, unfortunately undergoing hip surgery, but he was scoring at like a 2.3 points per game rate in the goddamn QMJHL. He's still such a talented, smaller winger. How he will transition to the NHL is definitely going to be interesting. And then you guys got guys like Sergei Ivanov over in KHL. He's been very promising in terms of a goalie perspective. Luca Pinelli's very good. So it's still a very good prospect pool. It doesn't really have that top prospect anymore compared to last year, but still has a lot of depth and still is a top 10 prospect pool for me. Number 6, San Jose Sharks. San Jose Sharks obviously lost William Eklund this year to their prospect pool, but it's still a very good prospect pool. Will Smith is either the second or the third best prospect in the entire NHL, in my opinion, right now. After going 4th overall in last year's draft, he's playing fantastic at the college level. Then you got guys like a Quinn and Musty, almost like 2 points per game right now in the OHL. I was very high on him. I had him like 14th on my big board back in 2023. Shakir, I'm going to botch his last name, had been playing very good in the AHL, has gotten some NHL run. I think he's only played 3 games, did pick up a point. So he's looking like a very promising piece. They picked him up in the Timo Meier trade, as well as guys like Cam Lund, Casper Hal-Newton, botched that probably, and Philip Beestead all look to be very promising for the San Jose Sharks. And I think after they get another top 3 pick this year, It would not surprise me if the San Jose Sharks come this ranking in July or August are honestly number one, considering they're going to have their top 3 pick probably, and then Pittsburgh's pick could be anywhere from 11 to 15. So the San Jose Sharks are really going to beef up their prospect pool this year. Number 5, Arizona Coyotes. Obviously, last year kind of shocked us when they took Dmitry Simashev and Daniil Boot at 6th and 12th overall. They're playing very good in the KHL right now. Simashev, the points really haven't been there, but he's holding his own as a 6'5", 6'6", absolute beast going up against other grown-ass men. Daniil Boot's producing at, I think, a little bit over a half a point per game in the KHL right now, so they're progressing very well. Connor Geekie has really taken that next step this year for the Wenatchee Wild. Last year, they were loaded, just overall loaded for the most part, but on the Winnipeg Ice, but that's because they had Benson and Savoy. Savoy came back to the WHL, but Geekie's really driving his own offense, being a beast, and I think he did end up getting traded from the Wild, but he's playing great in his own right, as well as guys like Maverick Lamoureux. He looked very good at the World Juniors this year for Team Canada, a bigger defenseman. Michael Harbala, fantastic goalie right now for Czechia. He tore up the World Juniors the last couple of years, as well as looking very solid, I believe, in the USHL or the NCAAs. He's playing very good. So the Arizona Coyotes still have a very, very, very good prospect pool. Number 4, Detroit Red Wings. Very interesting prospect pool. I love their top 2 defensemen, obviously, Axel Sandin Palika and Simon Edvinsson. The forwards leave a little bit more to be desired. It arguably could have been the best. They did have that one stud top 25 prospect in the entire NHL. It's a forward. But Nate Danielson, I still think he's a very good future third, second line, two-way center. But I picking him at 9th overall was a little bit of a reach, even though I was higher on him than most. He's not taking that next step in terms of production right now in the WHL. I think he's actually below his draft numbers in the WHL, as well as Marco Kasper starting to pick it up in the AHL, but still below half a point a game in the AHL, which isn't too encouraging. In terms of goalie prospects, I'm really high on Trey Augustine. I think that he's a top 7 prospect in terms of goalies in the NHL. Sebastian Cossa, not as much. I think he got overhyped, taller guy, went very high in the draft, but still a top 15 probably goalie prospect in the entire NHL. So the Detroit Red Wings are still in a very, very good spot. Number 3, Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo Sabres arguably could have been first this most recent summer after having Zach Benson as well as Devin Levi still in their prospect pool. Those guys have obviously graduated into the NHL. They still have guys like Kulich, Savoy, Isaac Rosen, Anton Wahlberg. Kulich tore it up at the World Juniors, obviously having a fantastic season yet again in the AHL. Savoy, not that good in the World Juniors, but he has been an offensive force in the goddamn WHL. Isaac Rosen was their 2021 first round pick, not first overall. They obviously took home power first overall, but Isaac Rosen has been very, very good in the AHL. I'm excited for him to eventually take the step to the NHL probably next year. And Anton Wahlberg's a very solid Swedish prospect. I just look at Kulich and Savoy, both top 16, 17 prospects in the entire NHL. In my opinion, they really carried this prospect pool to still being elite, even though they've had a lot of their guys graduate. Minnesota Wild, number 2. This might be a spicy take. I obviously love Danila Yurov. He was like my number 6 prospect pool in my most recent rankings, as well as Wallstead being my number 1 goalie prospect in the NHL. So when you have that duo, that might be arguably the best 1-2 punch prospect pool duo in the entire NHL as of right now that obviously Cutter Gauthier got traded. So in looking at it, they also have a guy like Riley Heidt, who definitely has some skating concerns at the next level, but he has been nothing but extremely productive in the WHL. Liam Ogren was their 2022 first round pick as well. I think he's progressing pretty well. Not the best World Juniors, but he's still doing pretty good in Sweden. Petrovsky, not Slavkovsky. Servak Petrovsky has been very good. He tore it up at the World Juniors, and he's playing pretty solid in the OHL right now. Charlie Schrammel, didn't really love that pick in the first round last year, but he could still turn into something. I am still very high in this prospect pool, mainly because I think they're 2 guys I really can't see busting. I think are going to be future All-Stars. And then at number 1, the Anaheim Ducks. Obviously, picking up Cutter Gauthier massive. He was my number 4 prospect in my most recent rankings about a month ago. So when you pick that up and you don't even technically trade a prospect, you trade Drysdale, who's obviously out of your system, and you pair Cutter Gauthier with Olin Zellweger, who's another top 15 guy in the entire NHL, in my opinion. He's starting to get some NHL reps right now and looking very good. So that is probably the second best duo, but they actually have more depth than the Minnesota Wild. They got guys like Tristan Lanoux. He's been very good. He didn't get to play at the World Juniors, unfortunately, but he got some action this year in the NHL, only 7 games, but has looked good at the AHL level as well. Nathan Goucher, Nathan Goucher is also progressing very well. Kerry Terrence is another former first or second round pick that they have. They have those top 2 guys that you can really compete in, and are arguably the best duo in terms of prospects, as well as having a decent amount of depth in their prospect pool. So in looking at it, I think the Anaheim Ducks right now have the best prospect pool in the entire NHL. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? It goes Jets, Canadians, Kraken, Blue Jackets, Sharks, Coyotes, Red Wings, Wild, Ducks. Let me know in the comments, what do you think, and I'll be seeing the next one.